Yeah, welcome back. Today we are going to continue from where we stopped in the last video. Remember the last video we took a look at 0580 February March paper 4 variant 2 of 2022. But today we shall be looking at the same year but a different paper variant, that is 4-1, and different month, which is October, November. So let's get started so that I'll be able to understand every details about the solution to this problem. Now let's start. Now we are made to understand that f of x is 10 minus x, g of x is 2 over x, where x is not equals to 0. X is not equals to 0 here, because if x is equals to 0 here, then this is going to give us an undefined fraction. But because we don't want to arrive at an undefined fraction, and that's why the condition was given here, which is x is not equals to 0, h of x is 2 raised to the power of x, while g of x is 5 minus 2x. You can now see that we have several functions as far as this is concerned, as against what we had in the last video. So let's look for g of 1 over 2. So the first thing I want to look at is g of 1 over 2. Remember what we talked about when we started the function. We are made to understand that to get g of 1 over 2, whenever you see x in g of s, you introduce 1 over 2. And that gives you what? 2 divided by 1 over 2. This is still the same thing as 2 times 2 over 1. And 2 times 2 is what? 4. So g of 1 over 2 is 4. So the next is hg of 1 over 2. Remember, what it simply means is whenever you see x is h of x, you introduce g of 1 over 2. So h of x is 2 raised to the power of x. So this is going to give you 2 raised to the power of g of 1 over 2. And I'll give you 2 raised to the power of g of 1 over 2 is 4. And 2 raised to the power of 4 is what? 16. So you can now see that hg of 1 over 2 is 16. Now let's look at b. When f of x equals to 7, now what is f of x? 10 minus x equals to 7. So let's x move to this side so that 7 will come here. So x will give you 10 minus 7, and the value of x will be what? 3. So let's look at the c. G of x equals to h of 3, and we are asked to look for x. So what is g of x? That's 2 over x equals to what is h of 3? H of x is 2 raised to the power of x, so h of 3 will give 2 raised to the power of 3. That means 2 over x, 2 raised to the power of 3 is 8. So when you cross multiply, 8x will give you 2, x will give you 2 over 8, and 2 over 8 is still the same thing as what? 1 over 4. Now let's go to D, and after that we look at the next one, which I would like to talk more on. So if g of x is 5 minus 2x, I told you under inverse that it makes this to be y equals to 5 minus 2x, and we agreed that under the inverse of a function, the first thing you need to do is to make x the subject. So what are we saying there? Y minus 5 will give you minus 2x, right? To remove this minus sign now, then the opposite will happen. That means 2x will give you what? 5 minus y. So that x will give you 5 minus y over 2. Then the f inverse of x, remember, is going to be 5 minus x, everything divided by 2. So you cannot see the different ways of solving problems. So we've been able to solve from A to D. Now let's move to E, F, G, and that's the last one. That is G. So I'm going to clean this now. Since we actually understood the concept, then I'm going to move to E. They say we should write f of x plus g of x plus 1 as a single fraction in its simplest form. So what is f of x? 10 minus x plus what is g of x? 2 over x, then plus what? 1. The first thing is to take the LCM, which is what? X. This is 10 over 1, remember. So 1 in x is x. X times 10 is what? 10x. minus, remember this is x over 1 too. 1 in x times x is what? X squared plus x in x1, 1 times 2 is 2. Plus, remember this is 1 over 1. 1 in x times 1 is what? X. 10x plus another 1x will give you what? 11x minus x squared plus 2 everything over x. So this is the expression of this as a single fraction. In the simplest form, this is the simplest form because there is no way you can factorize this and say you want to go over quadratic equation and all that, but we are not actually going into that. They say as a fraction in the simplest form. So you can decide to do this too. 11x over x minus x squared over x plus 2 over x. You still have your answer, then you cancel out the common parts to be able to get another fraction entirely. But I think with this, you don't have any problem, right? So let's go to f. F of x squared. Now listen, this f of x squared is different from this. Let me write it here. F of x squared is different from f squared x. Please, you should know this. This one means you are squaring the whole of f of x, and this one is still the same thing as f of x. So there are two different things, please. And I want you to understand the difference between these two. This one means you are squaring the f of x, while this means you are having f of x. So let's look at this now. F of x squared. What is f of x? 10 minus x, everything squared. And remember, if you want to square this, it's still the same thing as 10 minus x multiplied by another 10 minus x, right? 10 times 10 is 100 minus 10x minus 10x plus x squared. And that gives you 100 minus 20x plus x squared. So you make this equation 1. Now let's look at f of x. F of x is still the same thing as wherever you see x in f of x, you introduce f of x. So that will give you 10 minus x will now give you what? 10 minus x, right? And I'll give you 10 minus 10 plus x. So f of x, 10 minus 10 is 0. And you are left with what? X. So what are we left with now? So let's combine them. 100 minus 20x plus x squared. Then minus, you can see because it's minus here. So that's minus what? X. So that'll give you 100 minus 20x minus x will give you minus 21x plus x squared. So you combine this, or you compare this rather with ax squared plus bx plus c. And at the end of the day, a is the coefficient of x squared. Since there is one x squared here, a is 1. B is the coefficient of x, and that's minus 21. Then c is the constant, which is what? 100. So you can now see from here, we've been able to get our a, B, and C. I hope this is clear. So I'd like you to, in the next, let's say 5 seconds, take a look at this again. If there's anything you don't understand, please, you can drop your comment in the comment section. Then as soon as I see your comment or your questions, I will attend to it almost immediately. So thank you very much. So let's look at the last aspect of this. And this is going to be one very interesting aspect. Looking at this. Now, the first thing we need to get is h of x. They say h of x equals to 10. Now, h inverse rather. So h of x is 2 raised to the power of x. And I told you that you make this to be y, which is 2 raised to the power of x. So we want to make x the subject. To make x the subject, because this is an exponent, so you introduce log to both sides. Introduce log to both sides. Since it's an exponent, or some people might want to introduce ln, which is log to base e. So that means we have log y will give you log 2 raised to the power of x. And log y still remains here. This one from the law of power, what do you have? X log what? 2. So that x will give you log y over what? Log 2, right? Then your f inverse of x is no longer f inverse. Why? Because this is h of x. So h inverse of x will now give you log x over log 2. And log x over log 2 is automatically equals to what? 10. So when you cross multiply, log x will give you what? 10 log 2. Now from the law of logarithm, log x is still the same thing as what? Log 2 raised to the power of what? 10. So log cancels log, and our x is 2 raised to the power of 10, which is what? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. And your final answer is what? 1024. So you can see another way which question can come under function. This is 0580, paper 4 variant 1, October, November 2022. So I believe with this, you have another idea of another way which question can come under function. So gentlemen and ladies, it is nice teaching you functions, and I want to encourage you, and I want to actually assure you rather that even in the next class we might be approaching the last question that has to do with function. I believe we have taken 2 basic questions on function, and the next one should reveal every other thing that we might not have actually spoken about. So I'll see you in the next video, which might be the last video under function, so that I'll be able to look at other topics as far as Igcse and all other examinations are concerned. So please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel till I come your way again in the next video. Thank you very much for now. God bless you.